So today I'm going to work on a drawing. I have in front of me a pad of artist tiles that are black, which are nice to use with some lighter media. And I also have these Create a Color hard pastels, which is what I'll be drawing with on these artist tiles. And I've used them before with to make a number of other things. So this is an example of something that I've made before with these. And I really love the sort of dreamy quality that you can get with them, but also the interesting textures that you can make. So, and I'll just talk about what it is that's going through my mind as I work on the drawing. In general, a lot of times when I set out to do a drawing, I don't think about what it is I'm going to do first. I just start to sort of make lines and then see what kind of form comes out of it and decide from there what it's going to be. So let's see. I'm just going to start with one of the darker colors and see what happens. I'm gonna take the little tortilla thing to smooth some of this out. The tip of this does look black, but that's only because it's been used before. It's essentially just a rolled up piece of paper. But they're for use with things like charcoals and things that are more soft, I guess. It lets you sort of blend. Something else that I like to do when I'm working with media like this is just to take something like a paper towel or a napkin, and I use that to blend. So you can really work in a much wider area like that. when I was in my first year of university, taking a drawing class where we were using charcoals. And I started doing that, and the teacher was surprised and thought I was resourceful. Though I did have like a dozen of these in the box too. I just didn't feel like using them for that purpose. So a lot of the lines have gone away here, but I still have a light background color here that's still present. And I'm going to try something lighter. And as I look at this, and even just having done those few lines, I do start to see an animal now at this point, something like kneeling forward. Could be a sheep or something like that, but I'd be making a mistake to saying like so soon that it is a sheep, because that's just not really how I draw. But let's see what happens. And I can I'm gonna just sort of take this paper towel here that I used before, and I'm just gonna dab the lines. I'm not trying to make the shape disappear, I just prefer the softer look than having something that's really sharp. I think maybe make it some sort of winged creature, bird, dragon, something else. And I'm pressing hard at the moment in order to really get a lot of material onto the paper. And I'll blend that out soon. And then I'll come in with some of the other colors and do some highlighting, shading, stuff like that. Let's see. What kind of eye do we want here? Maybe a angry eye or something. Let's see where we're going. Okay, let's see here. I think I want to use one of the darker colors and sort of add some texture into the wings with that. Let's see, I'm going to brush some off and pick it up to take a look at it in just a moment and see what else we'll do. I'm also going to take the darkest one of the colors here, which I think is this one. And I'm going to go into this space right here. And I'm doing this because I really want to define where the end of that wing is. And down here, I'm going to do a little line down here as well, just to really define where its end is. And I'll take this tortillon and I'm going to sort of smooth that out. And as I do that, I'll just stay in this area. Let's take a look at this right now. I'm rather liking the way that the nest is looking at the moment, and I'm going to fill that in a little more. I want to still create a little more texture in the wings here, as well as some texture along the body, and work on the details of the face still. So okay, well, let's see what now. Now, if I just bring some color up here. You would expect that the top would be lighter than the bottom part, and darker color on the underside. So grab one of the darker colors and sort of go along. I want it to do darker than that. I'll grab this color here. And what I'll do is I'll sort of bring that up, and then I'll be able to sort of blend them in the middle. I'm also going to take one of the other colors, this, and I'm gonna work on this eye here. So let's see what we'll do here. little bit of light color right around the eye as well. And then if I take a darker color and I put it along this back edge here, a little bit along the top, I'll be able to sort of smooth those out and really define where that eye is in space. I'm gonna throw in some of a lighter color on the underside of this mouth here, and I'm gonna go along the edge to where the tip of that sort of beakish structure is. It's the top of the mouth. And I want to sort of help define where that is as well. It's the opposing contrast that really helps identify these things in space. So it's the reason for doing it that way. We'll grab another color and we'll put in like a little gullet or lower mouth down here. And we'll have it sort of merge. So I'm just going to further define this little nook between the bottom of the mouth and the bottom of the top of the mouth and the neck. Now I need to go up to where this horn is and sort of plant that. Now, it's not coming off the side of the head, so we need to really define a place that's in the middle of its face where that belongs. And give it a home. And also where that horn is, I need to give it a shadow on the lower part of it. And it needs to have a highlight on the top part of it. And then I'll take my tortillon and I'm gonna sort of blend those two areas together. First, bringing the light part down, and then bringing the darker part up. And now I've got this line of extra stuff that's come off of the pastels, and I need to brush that off. So, current stage where we're at. Now, with as large as these, as the horn is, I kind of feel like this structure over here and this one should maybe be a bit larger than they are. So, maybe give them a even more defined shape. Maybe something like a bunny ear. This one here's coming off the other side of the head, so it doesn't really make sense for us to see all of that one. But if I really wanted to look like a bunny ear, maybe I could make it bend down. Something like that. Who knows? I mean, it's just a made-up creature, so. We'll do some lighter color in here, and fill this in a little bit for the moment, but we'll adjust that soon. In the ear over here, we really want to darken that inside part of that ear. And over here, we want to darken it as well, but really only up to a certain point. We do want to indicate that there's that fold, though, in the ear. So we'll grab the tortillon and really push in the color in this middle part of the ear. And push it in over here. And we'll grab a little more of this light color, and we're gonna go back along this edge and around this outer part of this ear again, just a little bit. And just blend that back in. Now let's see. Want to work on the texture here. So let's see what we can do. This isn't necessarily the best of materials if you wanted to do something that was like cross-hatched, so that's not how we're going to get our texture with this, but you can make some very nice textures with it. So I'm going to start with by spreading one of the little bit darker colors around. But not the darkest one. Okay, now I'm gonna just sort of brush this off, the extra. Okay, now for the next part, and working on the texture here for this lower part of the body. The way I'm going to do this, in order to make it feel like there are scales and stuff that are, popping out, and there's like the lower part, can be by making like a sort of field of darker and lighter colors, and there'll be some fade around them, but by having some alternation, we can help create a lot of texture. At least that's the goal. So I'm going to start with this dark color, and I'm just going to press nice and hard. I'm going to make some spots. The pastel is crumbling a bit as I do this, and it'll do that, but let's brush some of this off onto this other napkin here. I'll put this down over here. And we see that we've got some dark stippling now. Now I'm going to take another color, a lighter color, not the lightest color yet. And I'm going to make just a bunch of lighter colored dots all around the same area. Then we just put these darker colored dots in. And then I'm gonna grab this tortillon here, and I'm just gonna roll across these a little bit. Just press them out. I feel like I want a little more of the dark spots, so I'm gonna add those in as well before I go on to the lighter color. Also want to make sure that I have a clear boundary for the underside, which I'm gonna spread out too. So spreading it out. Okay. So now this is what we've got right now. And I'm just gonna add a little more to this body at this point. So I'm just gonna throw in some lighter marks. And I just want to make sort of spots. I don't want to make any strokes here. Not for this part. Because I'm trying to make something with a pretty different texture from that. I feel like that was a little bit of a mistake, that one mark there. And I'm just gonna tap, because I don't want it to be too defined. And then I definitely have a nice thing going on here. Come around, remove that particular mark there. Let's see. What kind of texture for that wing should I go for? Maybe I don't know. We can try something sort of feathery or something. We'll start with some darker marks that sort of radiate outward. I imagine we're not really looking at the full wing, or we're looking at it and there's some sort of shape to it that we don't quite perceive from this angle as of yet. But maybe this is part of the underside of the wing, and up here is the top side of the wing, but it's sort of folded down. So if that's the case, then we would expect to see something different in between. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to start with a dark color for all of it, though. Let's start with something like this. And the reason for that is that if there's feathers or whatever else, there'll be a highlight and there'll be a shadow for everything. And as with here, the lower portion of this, we added the highlights, the lighter parts after we added the more shadowy part. A lot of drawing has to do with creating an illusion, the illusion of depth, where you, by putting those lighter and darker colors together, it really is still just a piece of paper. But we can trick our brains into believing it's not just a piece of paper. So I'm going to fill this in here some, and then I'm going to round that out. I'm doing that because that'll give me a base for what I'm going to do after that in that space. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to tap this out too. Just some. I don't really want to get rid of the lines that are up here as much as I want to get rid of what I had in there. Well, let's see what we can do for texture for up here. So let's see. I think having these nice longer lines. We'll see what we get. Oh, I broke my pastel. In some ways, I'm kind of a tactile drawer. I think that's why I used the paper towels. My vision's not really 100% and tend to use my fingers for some of my seeing. Which is a little bit of a strange thing to say while drawing. But it's kind of how I feel about what it is that I do. So on the underside of this, it would need to be going in a different direction at least, but it would also need to not be the same color because there's some shadow there. So let's see. Whatever is going on underneath is a more vertical orientation, following the direction of the wing, and the wing is folded over. So do that. Throw in some darker marks as well to complement that. Again, trying to create the illusion of depth by pairing these lighter and darker colors together. And I'll grab one other letter color. I'll just do just a little bit in there with that. And do it more on the lower part, because that lower part is going to catch a little more of the ambient light coming from the side than the part that's up here that's more obscured by the top of the wing. And I feel like on the outside of the wing I need to go back over there a little bit more now. I'm going to do just a little more of a light tapping on top of the head and sort of the back parts of the ears. Just try and catch some of the areas that are going to have more access to light. Make sure that they show up brighter. Just because of the way that the world works. The way that things work in nature. And catch the background. We're gonna again sort of fill it with some of the darker color. So I want our creature here to sort of pop out of the background. At this moment in time, I'm not really considering this whole environment. I'm just really interested in what this creature is. Now, I don't need to go totally crazy with that. the next thing we need to do, as I've done before, is take the tortillon, and I'm gonna sort of spread that darkness around, and I can really get up against the edges. Can sort of roll it in this, and when I do that, I can pick up the color here and then almost like draw it on again in other places. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm blocking it. So here we go. Just continuing to blend. Come back here, and I'll blend over there as well. I'm going to take the other end of this tortillon. We're just going to tap a little bit on some of the highlights that we put in. We want to really sharpen up our creation. Now I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to add some highlights down here. This will be similar to what we did way earlier, but I've been brushing over it, and I've sort of wound around it multiple times now at this point. And I think that we're almost done here. Just want to make sure that we've got that dark mark over the eye. Okay. It's just a rather fantastical creature. It's maybe a sort of serpentine body, um, sort of scaled, and it's got its own nest. And I can't really, I don't know if the wings would be considered feathery or hairy or what. It has a nice big horn on its face and something like rabbit ears on its head. And at the moment, it seems um, unsure, I think. Almost like a turtley shaped head. So, that's today's fantasy creature, made with Create Color hard pastels and these Artist Strong tiles from Swarthmore. Thank you for watching, and if you want more content like this, please like and share, and let me know in the comments. Have a great day.